We are in this together.
You have gifts that I don't have, and I have gifts that you don't have.
That we must see. Now is the time, because it's when we all get together that we will make the changes that we must make. We are the world.
Malcolm and We, brought to you exclusively on malcolmpresents.com, a streaming platform that reaches around the world, around other worlds, going into outer space. And as I say, one day I expect extraterrestrial to ring my bell and say, I heard your show and I love it. Anyway, today our special guest is Maxine. What's your name?
Maxine Margo Rubin the first.
Maxine Margo Rubin. The only thing I have is I've been doing a show with her for the last 2.5 years called, what's the name of the show, Maxine?
Well, we do Tush Twins. We do the Many Shades of Green.
Tush Twins.
We do all sorts of things. Malcolm presents. Malcolm doesn't present. All of that, you know.
With my co-host Yana Larson. And Yana, you know, guy, actually, Maxine was, we started Maxine's show because I did a show with her brother, Phil Margo, who is a rock and roller, who did the,
he did a lot of things.
Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Yes.
That's, I think, one of the classic rock and roll songs. I don't think a week goes by where I don't hear the song played someplace.
It's played thousands of times a day.
Yeah, and it's
all over the world.
How did he come up with that song?
How did he come to do that song? Well, he and my brother Mitch. Yeah, Weem Away. Weem Away goes way back. It goes, it's kind of an African folk chant about a lion hunt, apparently. Solomon Linda did that, you know, that chant. He recorded that chant. Somehow it wound up at Folkways Music, and the Weavers did a version of it. And then with that, the Tokens, when they auditioned for RCA, they did that song for Hugo and Luigi, who are the producers. And then they said, we got to do this song. We got to do an updated version of it. And so the song itself, the lyrics were written by George David Weiss, and Luigi and this other person who actually really didn't write it. There's been lawsuits about this song, a lot of them, and so the Tokens, he handed them the lyrics in the studio, and the version that you would hear on the Weavers and Solomon Linda's version is different. The Tokens actually changed the melody. Should have been given writer's credit, and that's where all this started. But they went into the studio, they recorded this song, and it came to be a huge hit. It was a very big hit. It was number one, I think, 61. They were nominated for a Grammy for it. It's used in countless movies, and it's in The Lion King. The Lion King plays it every single day. That plays in the Animal Kingdom part of the Walt Disney World. They have a show with Timba and Pumbaa, and they do The Lion Sleeps Tonight in that song. And I was there with my brothers, and when they did it, afterwards they pointed out the original Token members were in the audience, and everyone starts screaming, and it was just like a really cool thing. But
well, it's amazing when I did one show with Phil that we talked about The Lion Sleeps Tonight, and he was talking about how when they first recorded it, it was one tune, and he just added some high notes,
well,
when they go high, and that changed the whole feeling of the music. It was amazing, just that one segment.
They did a segment that changed the tune. That when you say The Lion Sleeps Tonight, 90% of the people are going to know it's the Tokens version. Some people will know about the Weavers and version, and it's got a long history. And there was You know, a lot of again when it came out in The Lion King, the song went back on the Billboard charts because of that.
Yeah.
So it was number one for many weeks in 60, 61. And then it was, what is it, 90, whenever The Lion King came out, it hit, you know, so it's like now marked as one of the songs that came back again 30, you know, 40 years later.
We have to do a new movie that's featured in there, and we can get back to number one. Anyway, getting back to what our show is about, I
Mm-hmm.
got together with Yana. How did I get together with you again?
Through
Who
me.
through you?
Well, I was
That's
on
why I
Through
have
We
you
the
on
World.
there.
I was yeah, I was on a show
Yeah, the Many Shades of Green.
too,
Yeah, I've been doing my
on
mind
Many
is
Shades
going.
of
Anyway,
Green.
the Many Shades of Green
Yeah.
is a show that we talk specifically about environment, what's happening with the world, how to save the world, and uh, we the world is basically the same thing, but they're not the show, but they support many different groups
Right.
throughout the world who is supporting to making the world better. And we have had, several guests on, from Africa, from the US, from various parts of the world who are doing that individually because all it does is take one person to make the change. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, there has to be a few million one people. So
Right.
you're not powerless.
Nope.
No, each individual has a chance of doing it by themselves, but collectively, it's we, it's not I, because you have to think out of the realm of, I'm doing this alone. Whatever you're doing, you're not alone. There could be millions of other people doing it with you. And what we try to do is, Malcolm and we, is to give a voice to these people. As we does, they try to help support the people. And these two ladies over here are doing yeoman. I just got involved in it. But these two ladies over here are doing yeoman jobs.
I guess. I mean, you know,
Your
I
mind, not
I, I don't know.
feminine.
You know, we had I mean, again, I've known Rick Ulfick, who's the founder of We, for a long time. I met him in the kind of early 2000s because I was doing a show called Green America on Air America, and one of the co-producers, Mark Sutton, knew Rick and this other gentleman as well. And I met Rick through them and started to get a little involved with it at that time, knowing that it was an incredible organization, an incredible idea. Imagine trying to get I mean, the amount of organizations in the world trying to do good is it's probably mind-blowing numbers. I don't know the exact numbers, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
And how do you get kind of all these people together in a way somehow? And I think that was one of the initial things of we, meaning all of us, versus me, because everything is me, right? Always. So Rick had this idea and put it into We the World, and got some great people to work with him to do programs, to do informational pieces, to get people involved from different parts of the world, Yana being one of them. And you do a fantastic job of culling, who's out there to work with we, and to the basic idea of we and the many shades is to feature people who make a difference and organizations who make a difference and people who make a contribution, because you don't see these people in the mainstream media. They don't focus on the people that are just doing these jobs because they want to do something positive. All we see is garbage. If you look at a news feed, I mean, I see my news feeds and I'm like, every morning, I'm ready to cry. I mean, all I see is just, stuff that just makes your head spin. Like, where are we now? Are we in 1939? Are we in 1954? Where are we? We seem to be going backwards instead of forwards, and they want to go forward, right? So, Yana, what is your exact I mean, how did you meet Rick, and how did you get involved in this? I'm just going to turn it to you.
Well, um, it's interesting. I had it was a bit of a train wreck time of my life. I had gone through a divorce, and I just didn't know where I was and what I was going to do. And I was living with my mom briefly because my dad had recently died. And I remember telling my mom that I think I want to start a movement. She looked at me
Want to
like,
start a movement?
what kind
Okay.
of movement would you like to start, dear? And I go, well, I don't know, but I just think I'd like to start a movement. And then, so I moved back to Ohio because I was in Colorado at the time. And I just happened to be just cruising, the internet, like they say. And I happened to come across Rick Olphick doing a segment for the telesummit for the 11 Days of Global Unity. And I was listened, and then I thought, well, this is it. An organization that has all these themes that go together that can stand alone but overlap. Now I don't have to just pick one passion because I had many passions. So that's how I got involved.
Right.
And
Because
at
you wanted to
first
do
I was
something.
very intimidated.
You
Yeah,
wanted to
I wanted to do
you
something.
wanted to start
And
a
I thought,
movement. I love
I'm in a
that.
time in my life when I can do something. And I felt like, because I think it starts with one, and I could see what I could do. And but I was intimidated by intimidated by what all Rick had done, of course, and then all the other luminaries working within. And I thought, oh gosh, I don't know what I could do. But I came out of my wallflower days and realized that I was good at talking to people, and I love talking to people,
And you
and
love
I'm
talking.
positive, and I'm
You love talking,
what's
yeah.
that?
He goes,
What,
you love
Malcolm?
talking.
You love
Like
talking.
Malcolm, you don't love talking, do you?
No, I don't.
Not at all.
I am a very quiet and reserved person.
Yeah, just like our friend
Yes,
Charlotte said
very much.
yesterday, the impatient one. It was funny.
Oh,
Um,
but yeah, that's what Ayana was talking about yesterday. My impatience. It's not my fault. It's my horoscope.
it is. We had our you know what I have like a roving uh people who come on each month that come on like as regulars that are as commentators in different areas. And so Charlotte Yorcy is an artist. She is an eco artist, and she also is the founder of Sexy Astrology. I don't know, she does astrology charts and all that. And since it was Malcolm's birthday, I said, well, do something for Malcolm, on air and see. And of course, the first word that came out of her mouth was impatience. Malcolm, impatience. Are you impatient? And then he went, yeah, I'm impatient. And that's how it all started. And it's a Pisces thing apparently. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
now somebody accuses me of being impatient, and I can say it's not me. It was in the stars. It
Right,
was
so
destined.
right, it's Pisces. Blame it on
You can't
Pisces.
help it. You're
But I'm impatient when I read the newspaper and I
Yeah.
see it's the same problems that we've had for years. I go back
Decades,
to I like old movies.
centuries.
Yeah, I go back to old movies, and I go back to movies of the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, and some of the movies that have
Did
social
you break into
relevance.
song?
Yeah. Now, a lot of
Yes.
a lot of them are nonsense, but a lot of the movies that have some social relevance of the time they were made, they talk about the
Yeah.
same problems as we see now.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
now if you talk about, let's say, immigration, we talked
Mm-hmm.
about immigration from the movies from the 20s and 30s and 40s. There were different people coming in, but it was the same thing. They're going to mix our blood. They're coming in to take our women. They want to take our jobs for cheaper. They're going to,
Yep.
rape and pillage and steal. You
Yeah.
go back to movies of the 30s and they're talking about whether it be the Irish or the African American or or the Jew. It was the same thing,
Yeah.
and now
Well,
we just
Yes.
have different people coming in.
it's definitely a conundrum to say the least, and to think that this stuff in 2024 has not been solved, or they don't have programs in place after century plus of all of this happening in the US. I mean, and places abroad as well. It's, the concept of we is to unite, and to get the global, they want to work for the common good, right? That's the basic tenet of it. And to within that
Mhm.
construct is, you need to pull in people who are diverse, and people who have ideas from other countries, from other parts of the US. It's not just white bread. It can't be. Though now we have, unfortunately, in our government, they're pushing just white bread. They're not pushing multigrain. And that's the difference. And people have to fight, and people have to be outspoken, which is, why we is also important, because we're bringing all different people and groups together to try to do that.
Right. Well, what I want to do, especially with Malcolm and we, is celebrate individuals who are doing things and do a patchwork
Mhm.
of groups. Patchwork like you, Max, and like you, Yana. I mean, it's individuals who are doing, well, now you're not behind the scenes, but you're doing individually, collectively trying to improve the world.
Right.
And
Uh,
you need more press, and you need more exposure. And
yeah.
hopefully I could do this with my shows. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, getting more press and getting it. We always discuss this, like, a lot of the choir. You got the choir. We have the choir where there are
Well,
people
that's
who.
the idea, is that we can reach different choirs, reach
Yeah,
different
but,
audiences.
well, I think my biggest thing is, because after being on Air America, and I was on WDFH, WRCR, B-Box, I was on all these different stations and podcasts, and the thing is getting beyond the choir, like getting the hook. The choir is us, and people like us and like-minded, like
Mhm.
us. The thing is going through and over that circle, that choir circle, getting people into it, bringing people into the choir. And that is still a hard thing to do. It really, really is. And especially today, with people just kind of tuning things out. We're in a post-pandemic, world right now also. I mean, that threw a lot of people off, and still they are off from it. So, I mean, how do
Yeah.
we do that? How do we get enough money, enough
You have
press, enough
to just keep
people,
trying.
yeah, you have to, yeah,
The way we measure us is different. If you think that, I'm going to change the world, which I always say when people say, "What do you do?" to go, "Well, I'm working on saving the world," and it's tongue in cheek. But if you make one little connection, if you make more than one little connection, you've done something, and it's better than it was.
right.
And you have
What
to just you know think small and big at the same time.
what I'm trying to do with Malcolm Presents, I'm trying to have a diversity of shows, not only about our problems. I'm trying to do light shows like I'm doing with Max on Tush Twins, which is a lighter show with different shows that I have. So people who listen to our shows who are not necessarily involved with saving the world, hear what we're doing, and then can tune on the other shows while it's like a network station. You go to one show to see what's happening, but in those other shows they're promoting and other shows that we're doing. And somehow people who are not necessarily into ecology or saving the world will tune in one of the shows, will tune in Malcolm and we will tune in many shades of green, and they say, oh, and get a little knowledge. Versus, as I say, just people who go to Malcolm and we is preaching to the choir. It's like when I did back in the 70s, I was doing like anti-war film, against the war in Vietnam. But I was realized everybody that saw that were basically agreed with me.
Right. That's the thing. That's the key issue, like, I think, in general, because we're so divided. And tell you the truth, I mean, I find it very difficult to try to listen to someone on the other side, because what they're saying in my brain, I cannot wrap my head around what they're doing.
It's like
And
fingernails on the chalkboard. It's just like,
right, you know, and you,
irritating.
yeah, and people, well, you have to try to talk to each other. Yeah, that would be great if they actually reached across the aisle. They don't reach across the aisle. They reach across to their cult figure. And that's right here in the US. And I don't know what to say about it anymore.
Well,
It
I don't know about you guys, but I've been feeling like more and more the religious right is taking over,
No,
especially.
not feeling,
Oh
they
yeah.
are.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's sort of
Yeah.
like people were, oh, we're going to become communists. And no, we're not going to become communists. We're going to become a theologian, a theologic country based on Christianity, which is not bad if they were true Christians. I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
the
yeah.
problems that I
Right.
see is that anybody that's against any sorts of people and let them starve and is regardless of their religion or race, uh, they're not Christians. If you just listen to the whether it be
No.
Catholicism, Christianity, or Judaism, their thing is help people who are poor, help people that cannot help themselves, not to get any financial gain, but that's the right thing to do. Don't
Well,
desert people.
my brother wrote a song called Jesus Would Never Do That.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are incredible, because he points to what Jesus did and points to what they're doing or things that are happening. And then the refrain goes from that stanza, Jesus would never do that, because he was, as you said, he was trying to preach things that are good and helpful and positive. So I'd love to get that song out. We were afraid to do, to put it out. We thought we'd start getting death threats, even though the song is a beautiful song about Jesus, so I don't know.
Well, you can't. Well, the cool thing is, I mean, I understand, we're being afraid, but you can't be afraid. If people were afraid to step out of, the realm of what is accepted, nothing would happen. And the whole civil
Mhm.
rights movement was not to be afraid, as they went out and they spoke their mind.
Yeah. Well, Mitch
But
was
they
ahead
were
of him.
certainly very, very brave.
Well, Mitch was a very prophetic writer. He wrote um, Liberty and Justice for Some, which was about the Supreme Court, basically the Bush v. Gore decision. It only takes a 5-4
Mm.
swing, and then he wrote a song called Hitler's Still Alive. And the lyrics again, I saw Hitler's Still Alive. I saw him yesterday. I saw him again today. How could we survive? And he goes through a whole thing.
But
And the lyrics are there.
I just saw him in a news conference at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, well, I wasn't saying the
I
name
That's
like you
who.
just did. I don't know. I mean, but it's all over the world. Authoritarianism has just picked up, like it's in the 30s again.
No,
People say 50s. I think 30s at this point.
what I worry about, and if there's an analogy,
Yeah.
during the 1930s in Germany, after World War I, Hitler was thoroughly trounced. I mean, he was, on his last legs, and whatever he did, he did a complete turnabout.
Hmm.
And I mean, my in
Sounds
history in this
familiar.
country, I remember at the end, the 2020 when Trump lost and everybody was burying Trump. They're saying that's it. There's people, and all of a sudden now we go to 2024, going to the next election, and he is a Republican candidate. Now,
it's like literally a nightmare revisited. This whole thing
it's
is
that
like
same
literally
thing,
like a nightmare you don't wake up from. Like, what the heck is going on? And we're getting way off topic here, but
no, we're not getting off topic. We want
Well,
to save the world, and I think we have to save the world by not letting Trump become president.
well,
That's in a way of
yeah,
saving the world, in my estimation.
that's the
What
true
do we
thing.
do if he ends up being president? Oh my
I'm
gosh.
looking at property in Vancouver, Canada. That's what I'm doing. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna live here.
Serious?
I don't know how I'm gonna live here. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but whether you live
Yeah.
here or not, what we do in the United States really is, sort of is a forerunner of what's going to happen.
Well,
I mean,
we're the leaders still in the
right.
world. No
I
matter
mean, like if
what,
we pulled out of NATO and we didn't support the European countries,
well, look what's
what's the world
happening
going to come
now.
to?
Look what's happening in
Right,
Ukraine since we're not giving them money and enough ammunition.
right.
They're gonna. I don't know how they're gonna do it. How they're gonna keep this up?
Well, if we don't give them, I think we just gave them $300 million worth of ammunition,
That's really,
which is a mere
honestly,
pittance.
it's nothing.
But the whole
Unfortunately,
thing
I
that
mean, you
was,
say 300
It's,
million and you're
it's not
tossing it
enough
about.
for what we need.
yeah, but they
Well-
we failed to realize that 300 million that we're giving them weapons. Who's manufacturing the weapons? The U.S. companies. That's what we should make more of more light of that we're giving that money to companies in the U.S. who are hiring U.S. workers.
Well, we
So the
have
money is not being just given to them.
it's the House of Representatives. It's that slight majority they have. That's 2 people. This is what's going on.
Well,
There's
that's what I'm
no
worried
one.
about.
Where are any good, moderate, upstanding citizens in Congress? They know this is wrong, yet they just go along with it. My question is,
I don't know how they
where's
can
the
do
secret?
that.
Do
you know,
they? Yeah. Do they? I am assuming they're threatened, like life threatened. Why else would they do this? I mean, how much greed and power enters your brain to that it just takes over you? I mean, how does that fit in? I don't know. I can't believe that there's not a handful on that side that knows that we need to fix this stuff, and they're just not doing it. No.
That's why I watch a lot of old movies from the past, and because there were, according to the movies, there were, like, when you watch the Valkyrie with Tom Cruise, and the efforts that were being made to get Hitler out of power, and there are so many movies like that that I had no idea about a lot of this stuff, and but as you said, it seems like it's just happening again. And what can we do? Uh,
Well,
what
that's
movies
what
will
they
come
said
out
about
later?
the 6 million Jews that were put in ovens. How did
Yeah,
how did the world let this happen? How did, that's why
I don't know.
the movie that won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Film, it takes place, the family, the commandant of Auschwitz, lived next door to the area that was killing and burning all the Jews.
Yeah,
And he lived
a
life.
house
He lived life in this beautiful house with his family, like nothing was happening bad next door. And except for I didn't see the movie because I think it would rip my heart out. But
Yeah.
just think about that. How do we stop this? Because it wasn't stopped then, and we're not stopping it now.
That's not being now. The things that are happening that people don't see. The pollution in the air, the changing of the weather. people say, "Oh yeah, it's they're just they're just going over it like it's not happening, but it's happening
Right. In front of, in plain, this is all,
in
everything is
plain sight."
happening in plain sight. That's,
Yes, and the weather changes are happening now, as evidenced by, the lack of winter or the strong storms that are, happening, the
yeah.
atmospheric rivers and just all the stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
mean,
so scary.
the
Yeah,
winds have been, I mean, I know March is the windy month, but I've never
yeah,
experienced in my life, a wind, an actual wind, constant wind of 35 miles per hour with 60-mile-an-hour gusts with no rain just happening. I couldn't, it was literally 24 hours that I heard wind outside. It was crazy. And power lines going down and trees going down. And this is not isolated. It's been happening more and more and more,
yeah, we're talking about politics and everything. I think the most important issue facing the world is climate change.
Yeah.
And what can we do about it? I'm not worried about, I'm not worried about the earth and what's going to happen to the animals, because they're
They'll survive.
it's survival of the fittest. The earth is going to survive,
Yeah,
but the
there's a book.
humanity may not be able to survive. We may not be on a planet that supports the human life because
Right.
of the heat going up in the summertime. I know in Los Angeles it was like 120, 130. And in certain areas of the states, it was more. In certain parts of the world, it's causing the forest fires that never happened before in certain areas. That the trees
And the
going down,
wildfires
and
that are happening everywhere.
right.
Yeah.
So our worries is not what type of government takes over, is whether there will be a world to govern, and whether be. I think it's Elon Musk has it right. Let's build a rocket ship to go to other planets, because we'll kill this planet. Let's go to another planet to kill it. Anyway, guys, one of our worries at the beginning of the show was that what do we talk about? And
I don't know, Malcolm. I don't know.
We can talk for hours.
and
It could go
my
on and on and on and on.
and my my watch just went off. We've talked about 30 minutes already, and we have to end the show.
Okay, well, it's just put in more words for We the World, doing great work and trying to get all the people who are making a difference and all the organizations who are making a difference together to interact with each other to things are done little by little, but they're getting done. I mean, we were talking
Well,
about the eco tech field, which is growing and trying to do things to reduce carbon emissions. And there's so much being done, but you don't know about it.
right,
You don't read the publications. And so our little shows, Malcolm and We, The Many Shades of Green, uh, you're just trying to do something positive and to get the word out. And as you said, Yana, each person, if it's 1, 2, 3, 7, 10 who get it, that's a lot more. And you keep paying it forward. And that's how you do it.
Yeah, well, the problem is, as we
Right.
said at the beginning of the show, my
We'll find each other.
astrological,
We will come together.
but my astrological chart says that I'm impatient,
Right. So,
and I'm impatient. This is going to, I would say another word, but Facebook doesn't let me put it. But this is going too blank slow.
Right.
And
Darn.
and I don't know if we have the time.
Too darn slow.
Too darn so. Anyway,
Right.
guys, thank you very much thank you, Maxine, for
Nope.
joining us. And I'm
thanks,
sure that
thanks for having me. And again, we is important. We.net. Go look it up. And
right,
we try to
listen
do
to
good stuff and listen to The Many Shades of
Well,
Green.
thanks for what you do, Maxine.
many
We'll have
shades
to
of green.
have you back.
Well, you have
And
to come back on The Many Shades of Green also.
Right.
So
Actually, a lot of your guests are crossovers.
Yeah.
we should just keep bouncing off the guests to
Yeah,
each other.
actually, you guys should get together and
we should form like a giant guest list.
Right.
Like,
Well, yeah.
okay, I was like, you can have
There
this
you
guy
go.
this
Yeah,
month,
because
and you do this person next month. The same one next month. We'll just
Yeah.
alternate month. That way we
Right.
get even more out.
Exactly.
That get them more press, right?
Anyway,
All right.
guys,
Like, that's
thanks again. You're
right.
listening to Malcolm Presents. You're listening on malcolmpresents.com, Malcolm and we, and we'll see you guys next week on both
Adios.
shows. Bye.
The objective of the organization We the World is to facilitate cooperation on a global scale amongst groups and individuals dedicated to implementing solutions to the many challenges we face on the planet at this time.